Check, check, check. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. There we go. And let's see if we got anything coming out here. Blah, blah, blah. All right. So, you know, one of these days I want to have it so that I can have a pre-show. You know, I'll hang out and get all this stuff figured out before it starts doing its recording to the stream. I mean, what a pain, right? Yeah, I don't know if anybody's out there. I know I'm doing this pretty late, so it's 8:45 Hawaii time. Probably pretty late wherever you guys are at. Let's see. Let's look. So it says it's 2:47 a.m. in New York, 7:47 a.m. in London. Hey, I mean, you guys might be up. 3:47 in Tokyo. Oh, yeah. That I gotta add to my thing. N&MCreation, if you guys are out there, you are awesome. Okay. So I don't know if anybody's gonna show up. Just paste this in a couple more places. I don't need that. I don't know that I need much. Yeah, you know, if anybody wants to come in on Zoom, I've got Zoom open. I think I know how to do it. I'm getting better at it, slightly. I actually think I found some ways to make the talkback and all that junk work how I want it to work. Wouldn't be good if I'm doing a live band at the same time, but that's okay. I think that's all right. So. Let me just make sure where I am. So yeah, you guys in Japan, you should be on. It's a perfectly good time for you. 3:45 in the afternoon tomorrow. Come on. Okay. Do I need to do anything else? I hit record. Have stream started. Have a chat. Chat should be working. Let me just test the restream relay from Facebook. And it's working there. Okay, so I don't know. If you guys are on YouTube, let me know. You can type in the, well, supposedly you can type in the chat there, and it should get to the restream chat wherever it is. And you see what OBS is looking at? Like that looks good. Looks like everything's working. So let me say welcome. Let me try that again. Welcome to Dropping In a Pipeline Audio. This is episode number 64. And this is What Second Wave? we're still climbing the first one. So, like I was just saying, I'd love to have a pre-show hangout, you know, before YouTube starts actually recording its stream, and, you know, has that kind of countdown thing. I'm still trying to figure out how to do that correctly with YouTube events or whatever it is. But I would love to get all the guests in order ahead of time and get all the technical issues working, make sure it's broadcasting everything ahead of time. I would love for that to work. That would be awesome. If anybody can help me out with that, please let me know. Number 2. Okay, this is kind of a big one. We're possibly looking for more coders. Oh, wow. My screen just turned blank. That was not cool. Yeah. We are possibly looking for more coders. I would prefer if you spoke C++ and Juice. If you don't, but you're super motivated, or you know somebody like that, there's a chance that we can work around that issue. As long as you're willing to learn. That's the main thing. Like, I know so many people overvalue themselves, their potential and stuff, but, you know, to me, it's all about trying. You know, I always hated to hear back in the day, oh, that guy was born with it, you know, or she's born a natural singer. You know, you're born to be a certain height, and yeah, there's some physical advantages and stuff, but for the most part in the music world, maybe there's a slight advantage that people have genetically or whatever, but whatever that is, it gets, to me, every time I've ever noticed for real, whatever that difference is gets annihilated just by effort. The person who puts in the more time and the more energy and the more work into getting better just wins. I don't care how much natural advantage you have or whatever, you know, perfect pitch or whatever. The ones who try, they get things done, you know. That's the important thing. And that's a really important part in this, what we're looking for in a programmer. You know, if you're willing to try, if you're willing to really attempt to do excellent things and to learn, you know, this isn't just about building things and selling things. This is about learning about the fundamental principles of the universe. You know, we need to know things. There's so many questions, you know, there's a lot of things we know for sure about audio, but there's a lot of things we'd love to learn, you know? So, if you know anybody, if you're a coder, if you're an aspiring coder with interest in music, or if you know anybody who fits that description, let me know. Please let me know ASAP, however you want. Email us, get me on Facebook, however, get a hold of me, and I'd love to talk about it. And also, Ken McLaren has resurfaced, and you know his style. He's probably taken no prisoners. So if you were a fan of his work back in the day, there may be some stuff coming up, and I would encourage you to go encourage Ken. Go say hi to him. Those guys who know him, or those who don't but are fans of his work back in the day. If you don't know him, it's Acme Bar Gig. Early Reaper friend, you know, very cool guy. Go check him out. Also, I think I need one of those whiteboard things, you know, so you can sit there and draw Venn diagrams. I know I was talking about a computer program that does it. That would be cool. If you know one that's kind of better for that, yeah, let me know. Most of the time, I just need to draw circles and just write things in them, you know, without too much hassle. Also, I need a desk. I may be getting rid of this M32, this Midas M32, and just replacing it with rack stuff. I bought some rack rails. I have no idea where I put them. I'm pretty sure they're upstairs or something. But yeah, I need maybe have somebody build me a desk, or what are you guys using? I mean, I'm going to pay $2,500 for a desk. It's ridiculous. So, I don't know. What do you guys see? What do you guys like lately? Let me know about that. Boy, is it getting hot in here. Oh, Okay. Also, on YouTube, there is a channel called N&MCreation. Let me pull that up. So this N&MCreation, somebody in Japan, I think that's what they said. Make all those. You ever play with those guitar backing track things? This N&MCreation makes piles of these things. Like, I mean, tons, all kinds of stuff. Like anime kind of backgrounds and all different styles of metal and funk and disco and indie and all kinds of stuff. This guy is awesome. I think it's a guy. We at AIX DSP sent him all our plugins for free, and then we get a message back that he's running 32-bit computer. I'm like, oh man, what are you doing, dude? So, you know, hopefully I can get him in, maybe he'll just use 64-bit Reaper on his 32-bit system or whatever. You know, who knows? But, boy, that's sad. This guy's made, like, piles of awesome stuff for everybody to use for free. You know, it actually, if you use his stuff, he says, let me pull up what he says here. If you use my backing tracks into your video or other, please give me credits, N&MCreation, or track URL in the description so I can find your video and share it. That is awesome. Even more awesome. Number 2, even if you use it for monetization, is no problem at all. It needs to add your creativity, solo, improv, song, lyric, video, or other. Please do not redistribute only. Number 3. Please do not use for publishing via record label or music publisher. Because of content ID system on YouTube, I cannot use my track myself. Now that, man, okay, I know you guys don't want me to get into this again, but holy crap, man. You know, getting DMCA'd for your own stuff, that sucks. That really, 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 really sucks. And this guy's made all this stuff available for free. So go check it out. This stuff is awesome. You just sit there and improvise on your guitar or whatever for forever on this. Is so unreal. And N&MCreations, I'm going to get back to you about what we can do about your 32-bit situation, because life is too short for 32 bits. And yeah, guys, if you can change, please do. Get off that 32-bit stuff. Get on 64-bit. You know, this isn't an argument from novelty. And it's not a argument from anti-antiquity or whatever. It's just 64-bit's been around for a while now. It's time to move on. Makes things easier. But, you know, if you have a real good reason, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, let me know. And there's probably things we can do to get this okay. Reaper has a bit bridge. You know, you can run, I think you can run the 64-bit version of Reaper on 32-bit. I'm sure there's other solutions too. Just, you want to run your 64-bit plugins. Come on, let's get going. So, you know, a lot of people talk about cloud lifters again. Yuck. You know, I'm of two minds about this thing. You know, there's certain mic preamps that, as you turn them up, they get worse and worse and worse. In general, when you turn things up, they get noisier. You may be closer to distortion or whatever. Do I have a feeling that if you guys don't know, these cloud lifters and there's a couple other cathedral pipes. I'm actually talking through a cathedral pipe one right now. They're like a phantom powered mic preamp booster that goes before your mic preamp. Because if you're using something like the SM7B, gotta say B, if you're using that kind of mic with a really low output, you might run out of preamp gain on your mic preamps. I probably wouldn't on this one, but I'm using one. But to me, if your mic preamp can only handle so much before it distorts, I don't think this would help any. I think maybe for noise, maybe it's, I don't know. You guys let me know. It seems to me like you're just going to be raising the noise floor anyway, but who knows? Maybe this is boosting it enough that in a cleaner way that you might end up with lower noise anyway. I doubt you'd end up with lower distortion using these things. You're still adding more amplifier stages. Not that that may be that important. I don't know. We got AB exit or something, but don't let people force you to buy this kind of thing. See if you need it first, you know. Thunderbolt. I'm still, you know, where are we on Thunderbolt? I tried to get Jim Roseberry tonight again. You know, how long have I been trying to get Jim Roseberry? A year now? Come on, Jim. Where are we on Thunderbolt? We keep seeing false starts and teases and hit or miss stuff. Seems like the Apple guys are doing okay on Thunderbolt, but you know, the promise of it being PCI on a cable, I'm still not seeing it. Speaking of Macs, I still really don't have a good handle on how the audio drivers work. We had to do a thing today where we're helping set up a Reaper project or something. Maybe it's a keyboard project. And you know, the Mac audio MIDI setup thing, it just doesn't give you that much information or options. It's kind of like an all or nothing kind of deal. I really prefer the ASIO drivers in Windows, as sad as that is. I think the Mac thing is potentially much better. And maybe the WAS, what is it, Wasapi audio on Windows might be. But I see that the better interfaces, you still install drivers, even though the Mac guys say you don't need drivers. If you want to, what is it really like? Like, you know, every time I see somebody writing down these actual tests, the real time, the round trip latency seems about the same at a given buffer size on Windows and Mac. So the hidden safety buffers should still be there. The low latency performance and stuff should be similar, I would think. Let me know. I need to talk to somebody who's an expert on this stuff because I'm probably still getting this wrong. But I assume that a interface with better ASIO drivers is going to perform better on Mac too, even if you're not using ASIO. I'm pretty sure the RME interfaces are going to work better than anything else, Mac or PC. So let me know, though. I need to talk. The Restream setup added Restream guests. Let me pull that up. Where did that go? We got there was a news article on that. Well, that sucks. No, well, there's a new function on Restream called Restream Guests. If you're using the actual Restream streaming software, which is pretty cool. I'm using OBS in here, so you know it's not necessarily going to affect me, but it allows guests and I wonder if that would be a good alternative to Zoom. You know, the main problem with all these things is that, again, you know, I know you guys don't want me to get into routing again, but you know, you do got to get your audio into and out of that stuff, and that's still probably going to be a problem. Where in the world did Restream guests? Let's see. Is this one? Oh, good. You didn't put a date on here. Thanks. Anyway, it says Restream Studio guests. Wait, how do I close this chat? Oh man, come on, close chat. Restream Studio guests. Oh, okay, updated this week. You can now easily invite guests to your streams. The long-awaited feature is here. It allows inviting people into your stream. This feature is working for 4 participants, so it can be you and 3 connected guests at the same time. If you need more guests, apply for early access. This is looking cool. Let's see if any of you guys are using Restream Studio, I think it's called. Let me know how that Restream guest is working. That's pretty cool that these guys keep adding this stuff. I'm very happy about that. So let's see what else we got. So we got, as usual, there's some stuff about basic home studios setups. So people are asking about different microphones and things like that. You know, past guests of the show, Vern Grainer, broadcaster extraordinaire, one of the only audio engineers to be celebrated by a group of fans that aren't audio engineers. he makes incredible things happen with those Audio Technica AT2020. So with what he can do with those, if you're in the market for that kind of mic, I would go ahead and get it. Pretty cheap. The Focusrite interfaces, that's still a good deal. You want to get into something easy with a company that's got a lot of good driver support. I know you guys got a lot of hype going around the Audient stuff, and Audient has been pretty good about getting back to me when I had to ask them stuff, but I would still say that the Focusrite stuff, it's going to be easy to get. They've done the unthinkable alongside RME and supported their older devices with new kinds of drivers, even a new generation of drivers, which was pretty incredible. I have a good relationship with them, and they've always been real supportive around here at the school for the kids. But you know, this stuff is everywhere, and it's relatively cheap. Most of you guys can use the Solo, which has one mic preamp and one instrument input. You'll see bundles at like Sweetwater or whatever that will have maybe the Scarlett and a mic and some headphones and stuff. You know, I know I'm gonna get fried for this, but the condenser mic that it comes with, I'm sure it's, you know, it's hard to make a bad mic these days. You know, there's mics I don't want to use because they're too big or in the way or they're too unreliable. But you know, these mics that you get in these interface bundles, they're pretty good. Give me 1 second, I'll open the door. I'm frying in here. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's gonna help any, but yeah. Sad, somebody from Arizona that can't handle the heat in Hawaii, huh? But yeah, that's how it is. So one of those Focusrite interfaces with a a Solo 2i2, unless you need more, some headphones, and whatever headphones. There's a lot of Audio Technica, like cheaper headphones. Sometimes let's look at the bundles that are out right now. And I'm gonna say Sweetwater because we've had a lot of trouble getting Amazon to do anything right now. But you know, any of the better places, Sweetwater, BH, Photo, Full Compass, I think. They're another one. So I'm just gonna Google Sweetwater Focusrite bundle. So let me see what we got. Okay, Scarlett Solo, microphones and headphones. So let's look at what we get here. So this is $229.95. You know, get off my lawn. I walked to school both ways uphill in the snow, whatever. Back when gas was less than $1 a gallon and a house in Hawaii was about $50,000, to get started in this stuff would probably cost you, your basic 4-track Porta Studio or whatever, a couple $100, which would have been way more than rent back then. A microphone would cost you a lot. You're talking a couple thousand probably just to get a basic setup going. Nowadays with infinite sound quality, So here we go for $229.95. You got a Focusrite Scarlett Solo, 3rd gen. Looks like you got a pop filter, microphones. Probably it looks like a cardioid condenser mic. You get the Solo. You get headphones. You get a mic cable. What do you get? 2 mic cables? What is this? And you get a mic stand. Holy crap! Wait. Let me make sure. Okay, temporarily on back order. Okay, great. Of course. But man, that is a deal. Let's see what else we got here. There is one with the 2035. Same kind of deal. It's got a. Oh no, I don't see a Focusrite anything on there. I see Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 with mic and headphones. I don't see a stand. I see a cable. Maybe it comes with it. No, let's see. Out of stock. Wow. Okay. This is getting scary. So they're out of stock. Oh, that's not Sweetwater. That's Pipleineaudio, whoever that is. Let's let me go back to Sweetwater. You know, there's a chance that we're going to be out of stock with all kinds of stuff. Hey, Straight Jacket 85. We Arizonas have AC on 24/7 this time of year. Yeah, when you have AC, you know, you may be out in Wickenburg with a little cowboy cabin and no AC, but you know, you can dip your feet in the Hassayampa River out there, or you could go lake jumping if you live in Phoenix. Go out to SRP and see where Jose Yanez invented the black flip, right? But yeah, it's yeah. I love when people used to say, but it's a dry heat, you know, whatever. The hottest day in Hawaii with the 5 million % humidity is never like a hot summer day at Thrasherland in Arizona. I don't care if the humidity is 0. You're still going to die. This wet heat, whatever, here in Hawaii, it's mellow compared to that. It's just uncomfortable, and I'm being a weenie. Okay, so this... let's see, this one's out of, is back ordered as well. Wow, that is a bummer. You know, there's a chance with all this situation we're in right now that a lot of this gear just may not be around. So I don't know who's got what in stock, but you know, at least let's just go over your basic stuff. You know, because you got Craigslist, and as sad as this is, people are selling all their gear to eat. So basically, you need an interface. I would go with this Focusrite stuff unless you can afford a Motu or an RME or something. There's some other stuff, though. As you know, there's the Steinberg stuff. The Zoom stuff is pretty good. You know, the audience stuff, if you're into that, is good. Behringer, okay, you got to be smart about this Behringer stuff. You need the ones that have an actual ASIO driver. Don't buy one of the ones that uses ASIO for all. Make sure you got an actual ASIO driver. So that means like the Behringer 202 HD. I think it's a 202 HD. Let's look. Let's look at. I'm gonna go to interfaces. Just stay in Sweetwater here. And for all I know, these things are back ordered too. But you know, like I say, you can probably find these things around where you're at. Behringer interfaces. Let's see if I can say USB 2.0. Oh, there's a Behringer podcast bundle. I don't think that has a... Okay, there's a Euphoria UMC 404 HD. That one has an actual ASIO driver. 1820 USB. That one has an ASIO driver. 202 HD. That one has an ASIO driver. It's about the same price as a Focusrite 2i2 or Scarlett, I think. The Euphoria UMC 22. Now, this is the one lots of people buy because it's less than $100. That one doesn't have an ASIO driver. Don't mess with it. Make sure this thing's got it. So I think the 202 HD is the lowest one. And let's just check. So I'm going to go to Behringer's site, which is not really good right now. 202 HD. And you remember last year I tested one of these 204 HDs out, I think, and did pretty good. So I'm going to go to Behringer's site, and what I'm going to do is hopefully I'm going to find an ASIO driver. And, you know, you guys are real snobs out there and say, oh, you got to get an Audient. Their drivers are built by the same people. So, you know, whatever. So I'm going to go to downloads here, and I see all software, audio software, drivers, UMC ASIO driver. So yeah, so the 202 HD on up, you can get a Behringer. So that's what we say. Interface is your main thing. Get some headphones that you can plug into these things. Some of you may need an adapter. Make sure you got the right adapter. People will argue all day long about phones. You know, for sound, okay, I can get real general here. Sound quality wise, open back phones are probably going to be more accurate-ish. Boy, I should have really fuzzy weasel words. Closed back phones, though, are going to let you record through a mic without stuff bleeding into it. You know, believe it or not, the click track in the drummer's headphones can actually get on the track, like when you're doing cymbal swells and stuff like that. Not that you can be recording drums when you're talking about home recording necessarily, but bleed from your headphones into your microphone is something to think about. Microphone, like I said, that AT2020, that's a great mic. You You might want something that's multi-pattern, but maybe not. Don't go crazy. Think of a microphone as an ear that you can place someplace in the room and kind of hear what you'd hear if you were there. Microphones have a lot of specifics, and there's a lot of religious arguments and nonsense about them, and a lot of sensible sense about them. But in general, think of a microphone as an ear. Just get one that works well. It's not noisy. It's not going to distort, and has a decent bandwidth for what you're going to record. That AT2020 is fine. There's way cheaper mics that'll work as well. It's up to you. Get a mic stand. I know you guys don't think, you stick it. We used to have my first band, we had a microphone as an omnidirectional piece of crap Radio Shack mic, taped to a broomstick, and the broomstick was stuck into a traffic cone. That sucked. Get a mic stand. Most of these bundles will have them. And then, because of this situation, like I say, there's lots of stuff out there for cheap for sale. You're going to need some cables, to get the right XLR cables for what you're going to be doing. And that's really it on the hardware end. And on the software end, get and learn a DAW. A digital audio workstation. You know where to find me. You know where to get a DAW education. We have lots of people around here who are super happy to help. Some people you can pay them. Some people are there's a lot of information out there for free. There's a lot of us who will help you for free. I would recommend Reaper. I'm a little bit biased and partial, but that's what I would definitely recommend, because I don't want to have problems, and I don't want to answer, for somebody who has to answer tech support emails all day long. Reaper wins. Sorry. So that's really all you need. If you get stuck past that, let me know. Setting input levels, preamp gain versus DAW, pre-gain versus DAW input favors. Okay. You guys that are recording with an interface, most of you guys, like if we're talking about those Focusrites or whatever, your mic preamp goes right to these analog to digital converters, and that's pretty much it. So that's your gain. Your mic preamp gain is probably the only control you really have before it gets the analog to digital converter. So your meter in your DAW, like if we're looking at Reaper right here, blah, 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 when I'm talking, see, I'm going to click this, check. See, it goes to minus 11 dBFS. That's your actual level that you're feeding to the analog to digital converter. Back in the day, you used to use limiters and everything so you could record really hot so that you could use up all your bits when you're recording in 16 bits or whatever. Nowadays, a 24-bit recording, just do something sensible. We've talked about unity gain a lot. I think you guys know the concept. There's a thing that I'm a little bit worried about. You're trying to get to 0 dBFS, which is as loud as digital can go before it goes over. Or I don't think you should try and get to that height, I should say. But most of these things have a reference level. I don't really want to get into unity gain, and we've talked about dBs before, but 0 VU is what we used to call the operating level. In a Pro Studio, that was plus 4 dBu, which was, it's all kinds of whatever. That's about what we would send a test tone in when we say it's 0, when it's perfectly calibrated, unity gain. That's what it was, just plus 4. That comes up on most interfaces today around minus 18 decibels full scale. Decibels full scale, dBFS, that's what your digital meters are. Like the meter you're looking at right now, it's referenced to 0. You can go above 0, but it's just clipping when it's a converter. Internally in the digital world, you can go above, but the highest you can go from or to a converter is going to be 0. Most of these interfaces are referenced someplace around minus 12 decibels full scale equals 0 VU, minus 15, minus 18. So that's a lot of gain to get to 0. So when you see these guys cranking up, back in the day, you would, the cheaper interfaces could only get so much, or not the cheaper interfaces, the cheaper devices, cheap mic preamps, cheap mixers and things could only get so much level out. And so we're asking these devices to get 18 decibels higher than they normally put out. That's a lot. So be sensible with your levels. You know, you want to have something, you know, there's options on DAWs and stuff where you can scale the visuals. So if you record too low, you can still see okay. Be smart with that kind of thing. Most people are going to tell you, you know, try not to go above -6 dBFS. But that's where your levels are. There's some other parts of this level thing that matter. So you're saying preamp gain versus DAW pre-gain. There shouldn't be a DAW pre-gain versus DAW input fader. I don't even know that you're going to have one of those. What you do want to do is make sure that you've got things up high enough that you can sorry, that you can actually see and hear what you're doing. Sorry. Throat's getting a little dry. Okay. Stems and hard drives. So, we were teaching some new guys to record the other day, and they had some guys coming in to record, and this is always a problem. They didn't bring a hard drive. Get your clients to bring a hard drive. You want to record with somebody, buy a hard drive. Your portable hard drive is your passport to not be a total pain to the rest of the world. It's something you're going to keep important things on, whatever that is that you need. You know, half the time you get somebody that's like, oh, just email me this stuff. You know, it's like gigs and gigs and gigs of stuff. You know, back then back in the day, you couldn't even think about that, right? That's just too much. That's just too much bandwidth for whatever kind of internet you could get back then. It's not so bad anymore. I guess you could do it, but it sucks. You know, if you can help, you know, just bring a hard drive, or worse, somebody brings you like a little USB stick, and I don't know if you know, those things are slow as hell, you know, usually. So that's no fun. The other day, I did end up having to use Google Drive, so that meant I had to have an account on the computer to send to them. And half the time when I send stuff on Google Drive, it ends up telling, even though I tell it to give them permission to, whoever can view it has permission, it still doesn't work. They end up emailing me on some account that I don't ever use for permission to view this file. So just bring a damn hard drive. Don't be a pain. Yeah, to hell with Google Drive. So, Phil Zio's friend, we talked about this on the show a couple times, who he calls Remington, has shown back up in the Reaper users group and had trouble sharing Reaper files. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. The easiest way to go is just file, save project as, and then check the checkbox that says copy all media using into project directory. And you can just do it straight from there, save it to a new folder, zip that folder. Or you can do the convert media if you're really worried about bandwidth and maybe convert it to WavePack or something. I think WavePack is lossless, so you're safe to do that, but I think it takes a little bit more CPU. But, you know, it's no big deal, I wouldn't think. But that's all you really have to do to share a Reaper project. What? Man, I tell you, I'm really actually hot now. Maybe I got the situation or something. What else? Okay. See a question here. It seems to be fairly common practice to use sidechain compression on bass guitar triggered by the kick drum. At the same time, it seems lots of people compress the bass itself to produce a more consistent tone. Is this a case of one or the other, or can you do both on the same track? If so, how would you go about doing this? Would you chain two compressor plugins, or is there a way to use both the bass input and the aux input from the kick drum together on a single plugin? you probably could do that last one, but they're out to do two different things. I would just use two different compressors. And I would be remiss if I didn't suggest, of course, the AIX DSP Intuition compressor, which will give you a really great graphical indication of what's going on anyway, and was created with a nice side chain for just exactly this purpose. In fact, you could do look ahead to do this. So yeah, use two compressors. Put the first compressor on the bass and get the sound you want out of that bass, and really get the sound you want out of that bass and play it alongside that track. And while you're listening to it, make sure it works great with the track, and then just think, man, this would be the most awesome bass sound in the world, except for it keeps clashing with that kick drum. And so that's the point where you're going to hit the second compressor. And for that second compressor, of course, use the audio input from that bass, from that compressor before, or maybe you got an EQ after that compressor or something. But that's going to be your bass guitar signal. The detector input, take that from your kick track. If you're using Reaper, you just drag that kick I/O into the bass track I/O. Make sure you got 4 channels. There's a shorter way to do it with this special make new channels or something thingy in Reaper, but you'll figure it out. If not, let me know and I'll show you. And that one, if you're using our compressor, Intuition from AIX DSP, you can do the keyless and you can listen to the kick drum, make sure that you're hearing the right thing for the detector. And that's how you'd go about that. 2 different compressors. That's how I would do it anyway. 2 compressors, 2 compressor instances. One for the audio of the bass to make it sound the way you want, and one to listen to the kick drum and turn your bass down. And we have a hold control, so you can make that work a little bit easier, but you may not need that. Okay, I have a Rocksmith. Oh, here's another question, sorry. I have a Rocksmith for PS3, and I was wondering if the cable that comes with it can be used to hook the guitar up to the computer and record direct into Guitar Pro. If so, how do I do this? Do I need extra software? Thanks. I looked, and I couldn't find an actual driver for the Rocksmith cable. It looks like you could probably use ASIO for all. You might be able to get away with Wasapi. I'd actually like to know how that works out if you do. You might be able to record into something. I don't think that Guitar Pro actually records. I think that Guitar Pro has live input now, so you can actually put like effects and stuff on it. Maybe it even has VSTs. I think ToneLib's Jam does too. Here's another question. Just wondering what types of editing recording programs people use on the PC. I have Mixcraft 8, which I find okay, but can't seem to edit recordings, etc. I'm looking for some software that will get rid of the humming sound mainly and a little editing. If you know of a decent program which can do this, it would be much appreciated. Looking for something in the range of $50. I've noticed on Steam, SoundForge, Audio Studio 12. Listen, there's Ocean Audio. If you really want to edit these things, these are 2-track destructive editors, and I think they can both run plugins. There's Wavosaur that definitely runs plugins. Those 2 I think are free. Wavosaur and Ocean Audio. And Ocean Audio I think is spelled OCEN Audio. Both of those should do that. I don't know if they have good noise reduction plugins, but if you just want to cut it out of there you go. But if you need a multi-track, I don't know why Mixcraft isn't working. I thought that does this thing. Of course, I would recommend Reaper. Is really good for editing. That's why it's there. So, yeah, I'd say Reaper, of course, but, I always say Reaper. Let's see. Here's another one. I have a Focusrite Scarlett Solo 1st gen that I run through Reaper. I play on my PRS SE Tim Mahoney signature model with Seymour Duncan humbuckers, which is what MIT uses in blue, at least most of the time when I get them. I have no idea what that means. I play through a number of plugins ranging from free amp heads, IR loaders, to Bias Effects 2. Why does my input still sound muddy and noisy? I watch these videos of people doing demos of these plugins. They sound absolutely fantastic. When I load them up with presets, they just sound just okay. Sometimes the preset or amp I select just sounds muffled to the point where I'm like, why would anybody play with that sound? On the other end of the spectrum, somewhat a little muddy. The high end, like 1st and 2nd strings, are frequently really high and tinny. First of all, are you listening through a guitar amp? Because, if you put a speaker simulator on your signal and then send it to the kind of speaker that it's supposed to be simulating, it's going to get muddy real quick. And this is why we talk about the dual path problem when bringing your studio sound to the stage. If you're on headphones, that shouldn't be happening. If you're playing through studio monitors, that shouldn't be happening. I found, though, that sometimes headphones will mask the need for a speaker simulator, so I'm not really sure. It might still be happening. But that's the first thing. Next is, noise and stuff. Are you too close to the computer? But given that you said the high string sound tinny, that's starting to make me think that, at least on the Focusrite Scarlett Solos, there's a monitor switch or knob that lets you choose between input, so the direct input, the actual sound of the guitar, and the DAW output. And that may be hearing both. Make sure you're just hearing the DAW. I just heard from someone that I used the Rocksmith for fast DIs and had no problems. Just have to make sure you turn down the input and have it selected. Now, I wonder, so what drivers are you using with that thing? Are there ASIO drivers? Are you using ASIO for all? Are you actually plugging it into a DAW? Like, the Reaper see it okay? And what's the round trip latency like? That's interesting. Get back to this guy's question. He also mentioned that it's a first generation. Now, the first generation Focusrite interfaces, at least the Scarletts and things, they did have a little bit, they could only handle so much level before they started clipping. And that used to be a problem for me. Not on the Scarlett so much, but I had the Octapre Mark IIs, which are great mic preamps. You can see them in my tests. But the DI couldn't handle my EMGs very well. So that's that also could be it. But really, I'd like to hear what your DI actually sounds like. Just play some spanky chords, some single lines, and just record the DI itself. And let me hear that, and I'll have a much better idea of what's going on. So if we're not clipping and you're not running too many speakers in a row, hopefully that's the problem. Here's another one. I really like Cakewalk, but it's buggy. Studio One is super smooth, but I need to tweak more to get the sound I like. Thoughts? So I'm thinking of going back to Studio One. I originally switched to Cakewalk because I really liked the mix I got from its stock plugins and the Pro Channel modules. And I wasn't really happy with a lot of things in Studio One V3, but now the V4 is out, so I figured I'd give it another go. But yeah, the line, I really like Cakewalk, but it's buggy. Studio One is super smooth. To me, you're talking about they're both buggy. I actually have less trouble in Cakewalk. I don't care particularly for either one. They have their strengths. Studio One is great for people who are just creating music, and it doesn't get in your way, at least to me. What does get in the way is the is its VST3 support. But nobody really runs VST3 well. Steinberg, come on, really. That's why everybody wants to run VST2 still. But the other thing was CPU use, and so I was watching a thread at GS where somebody says, "Does anyone know if they will fix the ridiculous amounts of CPU that Studio One uses?" I would love to use Studio One, but just can't at this point. And so somebody answers, Studio One relies mainly on single core processing and doesn't allow multi-threading with the CPUs, blah, blah, blah. This is a large problem for people using CPU-intensive VSTs. Other DAWs use multi-threading, which is the reason they run so much smoother in a lot of situations where multi-cores are properly utilized. I'm seriously considering kicking Studio One to the curb and finding a better DAW. You know what? You want a better DAW? Run Reaper. Reaper. Sorry. I know it's a little self-serving and I'm quite biased, but you know what? It works. With this guy's answer, single core speed matters a lot, when you're buying your CPU. It's not always the DAW's fault because not all things can really benefit from multi-threading and multi-core CPU, but I found that Studio One, man, it's so, I don't like having to be diplomatic, but Studio One seems sketchy. Let's just say that. So, you know, Cakewalk or Studio One, pick your poison. I think you're going to have trouble with either one. But they probably both beat Reaper in the MIDI department, so maybe that's why you guys need want to keep it. So here's another one. Why are some recorders, DAW or otherwise, have better sound quality than others? Hello, just wanted to know what the technical nomenclature is. I'm assuming it has to do with the conversion of analog to digital and vice versa. Is there more? It would seem to me that the most important quality in a recording setup. Thanks. You know, not to get into the DAW summing myth or any of those crazy wars, but you know, they should all sound the same. It's your way in and out. But even that nowadays, the analog to digital converters and the digital to analog, even the cheapest, they're pretty good. I wouldn't worry super much. You know, that's your sound quality is going to come from what you are putting into it. It's going to be more about how you wrote your song, how you play it. Even the cheapest junk gear today is amazingly good. And I've showed that many times in many tests. And if I had to, I would happily use the Behringer 8200 or, you know, I've got a Behringer, whatever you call the 16 channel, XAir 18. Yeah, with the USB output. I don't like the drivers, but sound quality wise, I'll take that. I'll go take that to someplace and record the drums. I'm fine with that. There's some news that Apple releases Logic Pro X 10.5. And so, of course, that spells doom for tech support guys everywhere. Logic is buggy and crashy and goofy enough. So who knows what they're going to break this time around. So yeah, you guys, some beta testers, let me know. Go guinea pig this thing and let me know what we're in for, because eek, that's some scary stuff. That's like hearing, you know, a wheel just fell off of your car while you're driving it. Usually updates are a good thing, but I don't know when it comes to this kind of thing. And I'm sure I'm not supposed to say that kind of thing, but I just did. So there you go. Sue me. Next thing is, Pro Mix Academy has an Ultimate Reaper Guide course with Adam Steele. That's the Hot Pole Studios guys. This is probably pretty good stuff, and it's like, I think he said 9 hours or something. It's pretty cheap. I think it's like $99. He's got a deal, or maybe it's $199. He's got a deal going on right now. You can ask Glenn Fricker had it on his channel, and so did Warren. You know, I wonder. Sorry, 1 second. I wonder if there's somebody that Glenn and Warren know that knows about Reaper also. Maybe somebody. Anyway, okay. AMS Neve announces 1073 OPX octal microphone line instrument preamplifier. This is something you guys want. I'll get right back to this. So I'm hearing from Straight Jacket 85, Reaper straight in or Cakewalk Bandcamp. I think I use both. Both seem to fix any of the latency problems. I imagine lack of RAM will need ASIO. I don't know about that, but well, that's cool. If that works well enough that you can play through it, that is awesome. So you guys that own Rocksmith, let's run some tests. Let me know. We're gonna do that later. So anyway, it's an AMS. So this is your 1073 Neve mic preamps. That sounds cool. 8 channels of it, and I think it's got a digital output. So that is awesome. You know, look, I can argue all day about specs and noise and everything and whatever, but you know, some of you guys are going to insist on having a Neve, and if you do, well, here you go. Now they got an 8-channel one. It's got all the stuff you need. Let me look at the digital in and out. Where is so it's saying, oh, maybe it's not really a 1070. Doesn't the 1073 have an EQ on it? This thing has a combo connector. It looks like maybe it'll have an instrument input, or maybe it's just line input. I'm really not sure. Doesn't look like it has an EQ. It does have a digital I/O card. I'm not sure what that's got. If that's got ADAT or whatever. If it's in and out or just out. But for you guys that need this kind of thing, this is probably pretty cool for you. So you know, $36.95, $3,695. So $4,000. So what is that? Is that $500 a channel for Neve? That's not bad, right? I don't know if I'm doing my math wrong right now. Sorry. If it's $500 a channel for Neve stuff, that's fine. I mean, you guys pay crazy money for this stuff because you're all nuts. The digital I/O card is another $1,000, but as an introductory offer, they're selling the mic preamp and the digital I/O card together for $42.95. So $4,300, 8 channels to ADAT probably. That's actually cheaper than some of these really clowny Duke, as Jesse would say. Other companies that make lots of magical claims about stuff. If it were me, I'd go buy something a lot cheaper, like Focusrite 8-channel mic preamp for $800 or whatever it is. Or, you know, again, I'm talking about that Behringer 8200. It's $300. You know, if you need a Neve, you need a Neve. But for you guys who got this Behringer 8200, you know, one of the things we always talk about is, I don't want to say it this way, but, you know, okay, we'll just make it simple. Does this thing have word clock termination? Can you switch the word clock terminators on and off? Or is it forced on there and you can't turn it off at all? I'd like to know. Somebody tell me. Behringer has not told me. None of the Behringer users have told me. I've asked this a billion times. If you got a Behringer 8200 and you know the answer, please let me know. Okay, somebody else. I saw your vid on the FX2 scenes on YouTube yesterday. He's talking about Bias FX2. I hope you don't mind me contacting you on the site, blah, blah, blah. You know, anytime you guys want to contact me, go ahead. Of course, I don't mind. I've been wanting to be able to switch items in Bias FX2 with my FCB 1010 stock. That's the Behringer FCB 1010 for a long time. I've been using SWS, but that was only able to switch channels. And that it would not do as quickly as what I saw when I watched your video. Okay, so for the SWS live configs, if you're running that in Reaper, I've got a bunch of videos and articles way back on this because there was something really complicated. We actually used it as a loader to load some scripts that M. Schnell made so that we could switch faster because it did have a long gap in switching. And I don't think we were able to get somebody to update it, but actually that might be updated now. I was using scripts to switch the channels because it just, I think I had an auto crossfade script in and out. M. Schnell made most of these. But we also used LBX Stripper. So that's LBO. LBX Stripper, you can search in Reaper. That thing has a lot of very powerful features for switching. You might want to look into that. He says, okay, let me continue. I have used Reaper Live, one computer for my guitar synth, have wanted to use another for bias, but until yesterday didn't think it was possible. I tried to follow what you did to get those scenes to work, but with no success. So if you're talking about the actual scenes in Bias FX 2, let's see, I don't have ADAT, just found out what it is, not too much on the tech side. I just use the input for bias when I want it to work for a guitar. With my audio input on 1 or stereo, bias works just fine. My FCB 1010 00 bank, I changed from program control to continuous control, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But with the audio input, I get nothing from my FCB. When I change to MIDI input, I get to control the scenes but lose the audio. I was hoping you could help me to get this new upgrade on bias working on my laptop. Yes, okay, so you did the right thing by changing from program change to continuous controller change for the 1, 2, 3, and 4, or it could be any number, I think, as long as you map that to the scene. So you've got to map the scenes to CC 1, 2, 3, and 4. But it's saying, but with the audio input, I get nothing from my FCB. Yes. So if you're using Reaper, I'm sure this is do something like that in other DAWs. Make one channel for your guitar, put bias effects 2 on that as the effect. Arm that channel, of course. Make sure the input is set to your audio input that you got the guitar plugged into, and turn monitoring on. That is critical. Turn monitoring on. So make sure you can hear bias working just fine, all that stuff. Now, make another channel, plug your FCB 1010's MIDI into that, arm it, of course, turn monitoring on, and then route by clicking the IO button or the route button or whatever, or dragging. There's different ways to do it. But just click that route button and make sure to send MIDI from that MIDI channel to your audio channel with bias effects 2 on it. And then you should be sending MIDI into where you need it. And if you really need to check that, bypass bias effects, go to our site, AIX DSP. We've made a free MIDI monitor that you can use. Stick that on the channel and make sure you're seeing the MIDI coming from your FCB 1010 onto your audio channel. If you don't see it there, stick it also on your MIDI input channel and make sure you're seeing it there. If you're not seeing it there, there are some problems. Give me another email or whatever, and we'll figure it out from there. But that's usually the problem on that. And I think, is that it? Am I out of questions? I think I'm out of questions. All right. I'm going to go ride my bike, I hope. I'll see you guys next week. And, oh yeah, speaking of which, I went to go order a new Odyssey keychain, which is, finally some modern technology from chains, and doesn't look like they're making them anymore. What in the world's going on? So what am I supposed to go back to half-link chains or something? Also, what's going on with spline drive sprockets? That was the biggest thing for a little while. I thought it was going to change all that wobbly chain wheel stuff, but I'm not seeing any spline drive sprockets anymore. So with that situation in hand, ouch. So let me know, you guys. I'll see you next week, and send in your questions, and I'll try and get to them just like I did tonight. And see you later.